The Council of Sirmium generally refers to the third of the four episcopal councils held in Sirmium between 357 AD and 359 AD. Specifically, one was held in 357, one in 358 and one in 359. The Third Council marked a temporary compromise between Arianism and the Western bishops of the Christian Church. At least two of the other councils also dealt primarily with the Arian controversy. All of these councils were held under the rule of Constantius II, who was sympathetic to the Arians. Background: Arianism was first put forward early in the 4th century by the Alexandrian presbyter Arius. It held that the Father is uniquely self-existent and immutable. Consequently, Christ could not be God. The opponents of Arianism, led by Athanasius of Alexandria, claimed that the doctrine reduced Jesus to a demigod, thus restoring polytheism, as Jesus would still be worshipped. Further, it appeared to undermine the concept of redemption, as only one who was truly God could reconcile man and God. The First Council of Nicaea in 325 appeared to have settled the issue with Arius, and his theology condemned, and the Nicene Creed issued, stating the Son was of one substance with the Father. However, Arians made a sustained effort to return to the Church and to restore the beliefs after 325, with a prolonged theological dispute ensuing. The First and Second Councils of Sirmium. Constantine the Great died in 337, leaving Constantius II, who favored Arianism, as emperor in the East, and Constans, who favored Nicaea, emperor in the West. A church council held at Antioch in 341 issued an affirmation of faith that excluded the Homoousian clause. Another council held at Sardica in 342 achieved little. Constantius, who had a residence in Sirmium, convened the First Council of Sirmium in 347. It opposed Furtinus, the bishop of Sirmium, an anti-Arian who held a belief similar to Marcellus. In 350, Constantius became the sole emperor of both East and West, leading to a temporary strengthening of Arianism. At the Second Council of Sirmium in 351, Basil, bishop of Ancyra and leader of the Semi-Arians, had Furtinus deposed. The Semi-Arians held that the Son was of similar substance to the Father. Sirmium too also drafted the Sixth Arian Confession, which was an expanded version of the Fourth Arian Confession and was consistent with the strength of the Semi-Arians. Third and Fourth Councils. Councils were held in Arles in 353 and Milan in 355, with Athanasius condemned at both. In 356, Athanasius began his third exile, and George was appointed Bishop of Alexandria. The Third Council of Sirmium, in 357, was the high point of Arianism. The Seventh Arian Confession held that both homoousios and homoousios were unbiblical, and that the Father is greater than the Son. A Council of Ancyra in 358, chaired by Basil, released a statement using the term homoousios. But the Fourth Council of Sirmium, also in 358, proposed a vague compromise. It said simply that the Son was homoousios the Father. Triumph of the Nicene Creed. At two councils in 359, Constantius tried to impose Sirmium IV's homoousios formula on the Church. A council in Constantinople in 361 also approved homoousios, stating that the Son was like the Father who begot him, and rejected the use of ousia. But at the death of Constantius in 361, the Nicene party in the West, which affirmed homoousios, consolidated its position, and in the East, at the death of Athanasius in 373, the Cappadocian Father Fathers, took the lead in support of Nicene orthodoxy. Theodosius I outlawed Arianism at his accession in 379. Finally, in 381, the First Council of Constantinople, the Second Ecumenical Council, after the first in 325, upheld the Nicene Creed. Recent theory. T.D. Barnes suggests that the only extant reference to the First Council of Sirmium is in fact a wrongly dated reference to the Council of Sirmium in 351. He then posits that the councils of 357 and 358 consisted of only a handful of participants and were not really councils. After examining the primary documents, he concludes, in sum, the only formal and well-attested Council of Sirmium during the reign of Constantius is the Council of 351, which condemned Athanasius, Marcellus, and Photinus and promulgated the Creed, which was subsequently presented to the councils of Arles and Milan.